content, our mission. We're going to talk about our mission here. Like, this is just not a place we come just to, like, yeah, you come to socialize, do all these things, but we're also here to learn and grow as a community. The outline is the financial literacy, moral development. Moral development is knowing how to make the right decisions and also how impactful your choices can be. We're also going to learn the difference between a choice and a decision. A lot of times people think it's the same thing, and it's really not. A choice and a decision is two completely different things, and they can decide. It can decide a lot of things in your life and your faith as well too. What is credit? Oh, banks. They love to make money off of you young guys. You are what they call fresh meat in a lion's den, because a lot of times when you walk into a banking place, they look at you like, oh, we just made $100,000 to $300,000 off of this person for the rest of their life. We know they're gonna have to pay us, and that's just that's just like one of the most minute things. How Ace said last week, you don't want to be in this invisible prison, because that's what it really is. Putting yourself in that invisible prison. So, we're going to talk about credit limit, of course, credit report, all ties in. We're going to talk about Cody's experience, and how, when you look at his experience, like he says right there, never again. What would you do differently if you was Codio at that time? Like, if you got to, with all this information that we get, what would you tell Codio different? And, of course, towards the end, we'll always have a suggestion box on, hey, like, what do you think we can do to make my brothers keep a better program for more people to come? Also, you may invite, it don't even have to be on one side. You can invite anybody. It could be your brother, your sister, your father, anybody, because everybody needs to be financially, have financial literacy in their life. Trust me, especially in the minority community. So we're going to continue. Our mission at Williamsburg High School for Architecture and Design and my Brother's Keeper chapter is to develop authentic relationships between our members in the community. A lot of times, people come into the program, they just come to the program and they don't know anybody. Here, you never know. You can make a friend for life. You can meet somebody for life. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I graduated 10 years ago from Woodside, and I still know Codio. Me and Codio talk like I was back in the building, and that's just loving. I'm gonna know Codio for the next. I'm 28. I'm gonna know Codio for the next 30, 40 years. You know what I'm saying? So, then that's just from me. Being in. That's just from me being in. Inside of. Just running into Codio and him being there for me and stuff like that during the time, because to be honest, transfer from a Catholic school to a public school was extremely difficult at that time, and you had Codio at that time, don't worry about it, just keep on working, keep on going, it'll be alright. And I used to just look at him like, what? That's just not how it works, but anyway, another thing is to unify people of different backgrounds, ethnicities, to develop a strong community. You never know. I'm Dominican at the time. You never know. Codio's Haitian. And Ace, I believe your nationality is. I can't hear you.
Nigerian? Okay.
You're on mute.
Nigerian.
Yeah, so you have Ace from Nigeria. You have Codio. We're on the same island. Dominican and Italian. So definitely Joseph. So. You never know who you're going to meet here. Joseph's Dominican, you never know. He owns property one day in Dominican Republic, and Joseph, you're my boy. Can you let me Airbnb a spot? And you're in Dominican Republic. And God, you're in Brooklyn, New York. The world is way bigger. I'm trying to tell you, I'm blessed to share this experience with you guys. I lived in 7 different states in 10 years. So I was very blessed and fortunate to see a whole different side of life. Once you go to the West Coast, there's no Dominican Puerto Ricans. So enjoy them on the East Coast, because they're nowhere else. And so, develop that, because you never know. You just never know who you're going to go in business with inside of this program. You just never know. And also, the exposure to the highest level professionals in industry experience, serving as mentor for our young people. We're here, me, Codio, and Ace, we're here to show you the highest level of professionalism that you can possibly obtain while you're in my Brother's Keeper program. And one of the most important things is that when we teach you about moral development, you'll start to see that decisions that you you play and make also turn you into a professional. You need to learn how to become a professional. And so we're modeling that example for you. So as we go more and more and more, you start to develop your professionalism. You'll be able to tie that with, like, dealing with industries. Because we have, right now you guys are 18, 17. You guys are young entrepreneurs. You can literally start a business right now. It's just, you got to know how to do it, though. But with that being said, we're going to continue the outline, of course. Financial literacy, the ability to understand effectively, use various financial skills, including personal finances, managing, budgeting, which is extremely important for self, and investing. Investing is when you have money and you're able to put in money into a business and get a percentage off of that, or normally into stocks when you talk about investing. Moral development. Moral development focuses on the emergence, change, and the understanding of morality from infancy, when you're a baby, through adulthood. Morality develops across a lifetime and is influenced by individuals' experiences and their behavior when it's faced with moral issues through different periods of physical and cognitive development. So guys, what that basically means is a lot of times, when we're from the, we say, there's different people from different neighborhoods, right? You got people that are from the urban, and you have people from the suburbs, you have people from the hood. A lot of times, those environments shape you, and sometimes we don't know how to take out the cognitive dissonance, meaning we don't know how to let go of what we're a part of. So moral development also shows you how to shape your character based upon the decisions that you make. So far, put a 1 in the chat if you are up, you're with me here. Put a 2 in the chat if you're lost and you're like, he's going too fast, like, I don't get what you're saying, I don't understand. Put a 1 in the chat if you get what I'm saying, you understand it very clearly. Put a 2 in the chat if I'm just going so fast. It's like, dude, like, take a chill pill. I gotta be honest, because sometimes, you can't gauge yourself. So, all right, guys. So another thing too, a lot of times, right? And you can unmute your mic and tell me your experience. How many times when we go to application of knowledge, right? It says taking what you already know and applying. How many times you hear people in your hood or where you from, they sit up there and have all of this knowledge, and can't apply it. They'll tell you everything to do right, but you're looking at them like, why haven't you applied to that yet? Did anybody share that experience with me? Like, anybody that's like, the OG around, and they sit up there, got stories for days, have all of the knowledge, Cody or Ace, if you got a story about guys who have lots of knowledge and don't know how to apply, because that's how you weave out too time wasters. There's a lot of time wasters. I'm telling you from experience, I've had people that sit up there and have all this knowledge, and you sit up there listening, and you're looking at them like, where's the application? And so you get caught up on how smart they are, rather than to see how they apply the knowledge. You're like, you're really smart. Oh, wow, you can't be wrong. You're intelligent. Wow. But you start to take a step back, and it's always the OGs. So if you want to share your story, please unmute your mic. Please do so. I'd love to hear it, because this is also a part of your growth.
I got a story, my godfather, because my dad grew up in the hood, so my godfather would always to tell me stories about building personal character and stuff like that. And it would be the funniest thing, because it always happens, the OGs, your family members always tell you these type of stories when they had a little bit too much to drink. That's I love you, I'm proud of you. That's when you get those type of stories. You don't want to end up like me, you could do better. That's when I sit there damn, this is the only time I get this information out of you.
Right. So that's another thing too. A lot of times we have people that tend to, they kind of just start demoralizing themselves so that they can uplift you, and that's not cool, because then you're looking at them like, damn, the only time you can tell me great information is when you're drunk, and now they're sober. So and that's the thing about, we're gonna start weaving out the the knowledge, with application of knowledge. So with that being said, we're gonna continue. We're gonna talk about credit. What is credit? Why is credit important, especially when you're coming out of high school? Like I said, banks look at you like a meal ticket. Oh my God, we're about to make a lot of money off of you. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You guys don't know what you're doing. So we're gonna dive a little deeper into that and give you a visual. So what is credit? Can somebody read that for can somebody please read the slide for me? Who wants to volunteer to read that slide?
I can write it. Sorry, I can read it.
Please do so.
Okay. Credit is generally defined as an agreement between a lender, or like the person that's giving you the money, who promises to repay the lender at a later date, generally with interest. Credit also refers to an individual or business credit worthiness or credit history.
Thank you, Makai. Now think about this, right? When we read this, right? How many times, right, Makai, like, you had a friend or anybody, you had a friend that, you borrow, you let them borrow money. And they tell you, hey, in 2 weeks, I'll give it back to you. And you're thinking, okay, this is your best friend, so what can go wrong? I'm sorry, Anthony, you got not speak, go ahead.
People be lying when they say that. They don't give it back to us.
Right. So now think about it. This is just right. It's capped. So think about it. This is just with the person, but now it gets a little bit more serious when you sit up there and you're dealing with a bank. Now, because your credit, when we talk about credit report, your credit report and your credit line represents you on how you make decisions and how much a bank can trust you. So when you sit up here and we look at this credit line and it says from 0 to 800. So now going back to what I was saying about like the thing with Makai. Now Makai, how would you like if you said you let your friend borrow $20 and he says, hey, I'll give it to you back by Friday. And next he doesn't give it to you till Christmas and we're in January. How would you feel about that?
I'd be very frustrated. I don't want to say like upset because it's my friend and it's only $20, which is still a lot to some people. But like for me, I'd be more frustrated with my friend than I would be upset. But I still wouldn't have a good feeling about it.
Now, good. Now, I'm glad you shared that experience with us. Now, imagine, Makai, you're the bank. Do you think the bank has those type of feelings like that you have? You know how they express their feelings? With interest. Can anybody in here tell me what this interest, how do they apply interest to money that you borrow? Can anybody tell me what is interest? If Codio lets me borrow, I'm not good.
Oh, sorry. Interest, from my understanding, is like, okay, you owe money already, but then I think it is like the longer you wait to pay back, the more money you have to add on top of the money you already owe.
Good, you're on the right track. So interest is basically the money that's added on to the agreement. So if I borrow $100 from Codio, and Codio says to me, well, Leo, I want 10% of, there's going to be 10% interest of $100. What's 10% of 100? $10. There you go. So now think about it, Gilbert, right? He sit up there like, yo, Lee, you owe me $10. Like, you have $100, right? Then Codio's like 10%. But now think about it. If I don't pay the interest, Codio has the right to sit up here and say, well, Leo, now you owe me 11% interest. Now you owe me 12. And it just starts adding up. Now, do you see how people get caught up into how Ace said, the invisible prison? Put a 1 in the chat if you're starting to get how people are getting caught up. When they can't pay the 100, the interest starts to accumulate, which starts to destroy what we're looking at now, which is called a credit line.
I have a story on that. Sorry, I have a story about that. Stay tuned.
Oh, no, go ahead, talk. Share it.
Yeah, so very quickly, when they say no interest for a year, please pay it off within a year, or else it causes accumulated interest on top of the original price. So in other words, if you purchase something for $2,000 and you don't pay within the year, you paying the interest off the $2,000. All I had was $45 left to pay off on this couch I purchased when I was 19, 20. And I ended up paying $400 or $500 more. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it was only interest on that $45, but no. It's from that $2,000 that I purchased the couch with. But right. That's it.
Like, and that's the interesting, see, and that's the thing about it, is like, you know, in our minds, we're like, $100 ain't nothing. I could pay that back. But when the percentage on the interest starts to increase and it becomes more than what you owe, that's the problem right there. Because it's like, oh, I paid it off. Like, you know, you get the $100. Yes, it's like taxes. Yes. So when you sit up here and you pay off the $100, but you're like, oh, I'm good. I'm all free. Oh, no. What about the interest? It's still building. You have to realize, even though you paid off in your mind, think about it. That's another thing too, guys. You cannot sit up here and be like, well, in my mind I did this. You have to follow the rules of the bank. And this is what I'm trying to teach you, the code and the language to the bank. Yes, you have to, yes. There you go, Michael. Yes, I like the way you put that. You buy 2 burgers, they'll tell you, well, it's 99 cents. But they add on the 8 cents to that just so that you can make the purchase. So, in reality, so what I'm trying to tell you guys is that this is the language to the bank. Credit. Hey, how can I increase my credit line? When you start talking with those specific words, and you're coming from a minority background or you're coming from an uneducated background, they'll look at you like, okay, we can't scam him. Because in reality, some banks are scammers. It's just, you know, Cody O. Ace, if you could be my witness, they are scammers. Hey, sign up for this credit card. Don't worry about no interest. You'll wait 2 years. Next thing you know, you'll see interest of